Yeah, you have to be kind to yourself.
Yeah. And often, certainly was the case for me, it's like I was caught in a prison of my own making.
Mm,
So I was continuing relationship patterns, pointing the finger outside, asking,
yeah.
why do they? But everything changed when I asked, why do I?
Hmm.
And I started questioning what I'm attracting and why I behave in the way that I do, and also why I tolerate certain behaviors.
Exactly.
But the most powerful change in my life as it relates to happiness,
Mm,
peace, and fulfillment was realizing that I had the power to make the change. I
yeah.
couldn't go to the doctor and ask for medication, or I could, and I did, and it didn't work. And I
Same.
couldn't look for, advice from professionals because until I was ready to do the work, I was stuck in this prison of my own making.
Hmm.
And it was so powerful when I realized that the reason I'm in this situation is because of me. And
Mm,
if I want to get out of the situation, it relies on me.
yeah. You have to take full accountability for oneself and one's actions, and every action comes with a effect.
Yeah.
The law of causation. And one thing that you touched on was like the person has to want to change first. So that's something big when trying to promote healing with anyone. Like that person has to be ready to heal. Otherwise, you're really talking to a wall,
Yeah.
essentially. One thing is I remember my little brother, he passed away, and he uh, often found that he wasn't able to, I guess, express himself. And um, it was it was very difficult, but uh, I always tried to find myself giving him words of encouragement and uh, basically like trying to help him essentially, right? And no matter what I said, it really wasn't like embodied, really. Like he didn't necessarily want to change. So I did all I could, and he did all he could. And that's all you can really do at the end of the day is do what's in your power and
Yeah.
then let everything else flow.
Well, this is an important point in the relationship seed.
Hmm.
So I talk very much in that chapter about how we relate with other people,
Hmm.
but also how it's important for us to be our own hero and save ourselves first,
Yeah.
because that's our responsibility. And when others around us are ready to join a journey of, self-fulfillment, of creating more peace, of
Hmm.
generating more happiness, then they need to do that at a point when they're ready. And I've had some challenges in the past where, for example, I've read a book and it's really had a significant impact on me, and I've excitedly given it to a loved one, and it's sat collecting literal and proverbial dust on the shelf. And I had to learn the hard way. I can't save anybody. We're
Yeah.
all responsible for our own happiness and our own peace. But I think the types of people who would pick up my book and the types of people who would tap into you guys
Hmm.
are already curious about this. And I think
Yeah.
that is the first step towards creating more freedom through peace and happiness.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, so one thing that I wanted to ask you was, how long did it take you to become happy?
Happiness is a practice. So
Mm,
in the book, I talk about my formula for happiness,
mhm,
which is positivity. So it's showing up positively for yourself and a
mhm,
positive force in this world, uh, plus intention. So setting your intention about
mhm,
who you want to be and how you want to achieve that, and then practice. So you've got to combine those two elements and roll in practice, and you've got the formula for happiness.
mm,
So happiness isn't a wish fulfillment. I want to be happy, therefore I am. I
Mm-hmm.
could sit on the sofa eating pizza and chocolate and be like, I want a six pack. But unless I get to the gym and do the work,
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not going to get that six pack. No judgment whether I do or I don't. But if
Yeah.
that's my intention, I've got to put in the work. So the happiness component in our life is a muscle. And like any other muscle, it needs to be exercised.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be happy, make happy choices.
Agreed. Agreed. So we actually have a product called the Soul Contract, and one of the main things that's in the Soul Contract, which is basically like a template of uh, figuring out yourself, accountability we mentioned, and the main question is, who am I becoming? And we ask this question to ourselves every day. It's becomes a a framework, a foundation in our life. When you understand who you want to be, it's very important, because if you don't have that vision at the end of the day, then you're drifting. You're drifting. A sculptor knows what they're sculpting. They have that vision in their head. You need to have some type of understanding of who you want to be. Um, why it matters in your life, why it matters to you. Really giving yourself purpose. I feel like if you don't have purpose in life, then you can get led astray, whether you follow someone else's path, or maybe you take a path that maybe isn't the best for you. It's all still a learning journey, but still, it's like if you have a that end goal of what you want to become, then all of your choices that you make would be in line with this end goal. You would eventually become end goal.
Sure. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think all of that starts with intention.
yeah,
And all of these elements that we're talking about are really fundamental building blocks to getting you to where you want to be. And it's so easy to say them,
mm-hmm.
but actually, the result comes in the effort and the
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
So for me, happiness is a daily practice. I talk in the book
agreed.
about the power of reframing. So you have no control over a situation. We only have control over our response.
Mm-hmm.
So the choice is yours as to how you choose to interpret that.
Yeah,
And that doesn't mean saying everything's great, I'm feeling just fine. It means having the tools that when you're not feeling okay, there's no judgment on that. But when you
yeah,
want to get yourself back to happiness, you're able to take the steps to achieve that.
mm-hmm.
And that's the empowerment. That's where, people are able to take the reins of their own life
Mm-hmm.
rather than being a passenger on this runaway train.
Right. I like to say they're going back to center. You are the center of your world, not in
Yeah,
a negative sense, but in the loving sense. You
yeah,
have to be the center, and the outside world uh, would be like the storm,
yeah.
essentially, and you're just navigating the storm, but in your center. And the idea is to continually bring about the peaceful actions, and happiness in this sense would expand the center, so that now the storm is long and far away. Like you can see how far the storm is away from you. And then if you do happen to venture into the storm, you can realize that you're in a storm right now, and bring yourself back to center.
I love that. I think in 2025, going into 2026,
Whew.
we are so encouraged by society to look outwards for the answer.
Yeah.
And I think our body has the answer, and the opportunity is to look inwards. So I
Mm-hmm.
talk in the book about, as part of self mastery, understanding how your emotions are showing up in your body. And
Yeah.
if you don't have the appropriate boundaries in place, how that could manifest in your health. So,
Yeah.
actually, by taking steps to create boundaries, understand how you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
creating space between I feel angry and being angry with that person. So,
Mm-hmm.
taking a moment to say, perhaps a boundary has been overstepped here. So, I'm going to listen to my body And without over rationalizing it, I'm just going to let this person know in a very kind way
Mm-hmm.
that this is my boundary and this is how I would appreciate you talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
for example. Which, you know, in life, we just get to a point where we were never told how to create boundaries, right? We
Right.
never learned that at school.
Right.
Our parents never taught us about the B word. It's like things that we have to figure out through our journey.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found about myself and what was really interrupting my happiness was I had created friendships and experiences
Mm-hmm.
where people were crossing lines undrawn. I'd never told them
Yeah.
that that was my boundary. And actually, I found in life that people appreciate you setting a boundary because it's like, oh, well, now I know. Now
Mm-hmm.
I know that I
Mm-hmm.
can make sure I take steps to support your peace.
Mm-hmm.
And in life, kind of back to the point that I started on, it's like if you're feeling anxious, take a pill. You know, if you have got stomach troubles, you know, there's a pill for that too.